Hey guys, welcome back. I am super excited to bring you another college related video today. I'm going to be telling you guys all about picking a college major and how I chose advertising for my major. I'll go into detail more about what the advertising major entails, what that looks like at SJSU, and just some general tips as well. So I have lots of information to tell you guys about, so let's just get into it. Just to start off, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my personal experience with picking a major. Obviously, you start to look into college your junior year of high school, and then you get really serious about applying and what major you're going to select during your senior year. Pretty much, we are asked to pick what we want to do for the rest of our lives when we're like 17 or 18 and just graduating high school. That can be really scary and difficult. That is a lot of pressure, and I know that I freaked out about that because I would just think all the time, like, I don't think any of my interests could really be a career. All throughout high school, I thought I just had very artsy, random interests. I always excelled in my art classes, my language classes, and my English classes, so I definitely didn't think I was very scientific or mathematical when it came to picking a college major. But in the end, I wanted to keep it general and vague, so I applied to most of my colleges as a communications major. And then my mom is actually in real estate, so growing up, going to like open houses with her and things like that, I've gotten to meet a lot of people that she works with. So interior design was actually one of my interests, and I did apply to like 3 colleges as an interior design major. But yeah, that's what I did, communications and interior design. I am neither of those now. When I got into San Jose as a communications major, I started taking a few classes and I really quickly realized that I was not having a good time in them. And I was looking ahead to the classes that I would need to take the rest of my 3 years, and none of them seemed interesting whatsoever. So that is when I knew that I needed to switch. I'm glad that I figured it out in my freshman year though, because I only took 2 communications classes. Other than that, all of them were all just GE classes. Around the time that I switched my major is when I really started to get into YouTube. I have had a channel for so many years. I had it all throughout high school, but I was never consistent and I was never really motivated, and I hadn't really found my niche yet. But I really tried to post more consistently freshman year. It didn't exactly work, but the summer after freshman year, so last summer, is when I really got back into YouTube. And once I had switched to advertising, I realized that that is really what I'm doing here. I'm advertising myself. I'm advertising the things that I have to show you guys, the tips that I have to give you, all of this stuff. I'm creating a brand for myself. That was really helpful to realize the passions that I already have really coincide with my major perfectly, which is ideally what you want. So now I'll just get into how I picked advertising specifically. When I realized that I wanted to switch from communications, I set up an appointment with a major advisor. One of the first things she asked me to do was actually make a list of all of the things that I was passionate about and that I had interest in. The list that I gave her had things like photography, writing, videography, film, language, all of those things. And after I gave her that list, she gave me a list of potential majors that had something to do with all of the things that I gave her. The list that she gave me in return was RTVF, which at San Jose, that is radio, television, and film, business, PR, which is public relations, English, journalism, and advertising. We kind of talked together and worked it out and ended up narrowing the list down a lot just by talking to each other. When the list was narrowed down, PR and advertising were kind of the only ones that stuck around, and once I realized that PR was an aspect of advertising, I just figured that I could get everything that I was looking for out of advertising. I really dug deep into the course catalog and all the classes that I would have to take. Literally every single class in the catalog sounded so interesting to me. Like, I literally remember going home and telling my mom and being like, these classes are what I want to take. And that was literally so exciting. Like, I had never felt like my interests could get me into a career until I was reading about the path that students take in the advertising major and all of the classes and the opportunities. Like, I really felt like that was made for me. So I declared my major as advertising. Another thing that I also did, just to throw it out there, is I realized I was taking classes that crossed over with the digital media for mass communications minor. So I also decided to add a minor just so that I could get a little bit more of a specialization and just add some more oomph to my degree. And so far I'm really enjoying all the classes for both the major and the minor that I am currently in. Now I just want to talk about advertising as a major, and specifically at SJSU. An advertising major mixes so many different things, it's crazy. Advertising is essentially an umbrella term for a bunch of different fields of specialization because it covers PR, journalism, graphic design, communications, marketing, literally so many things. The specific curriculum statement at SJSU says that courses within the advertising program cover a variety of methods of strategic communication: print advertising, visual communication, broadcast advertising, copywriting, and more, all have a place within the curriculum. The richness and diversity of course content promotes creativity and innovation, granting students the ability to hone in on their special interests and explore various facets of the industry. That's a little quick snippet. At SJSU, there's actually 3 different concentrations within the advertising major. We call them tracks. The different tracks are marketing communications, creative, and management. Marketing communications sounded related to the major I was in before, so I kind of just assumed that that is the track that I would be on. But I actually also met with an advisor to discuss what my track concentration would be, and the advisor actually told me that I sounded like I belonged in the management track, which kind of surprised me at first. But the more that he got to know me and I told him about myself and kind of the things that he gave me in return and analyzed about me, made a lot of sense. From what I gathered, the creative track is definitely more like the graphic design aspect. The Marcom track, I was actually told, is more PR, so management seemed perfect. Just to give you guys some examples of the course content, I'm going to give you some examples of the classes in the management track. So there's business to business advertising, broadcast and new media advertising, media planning and buying, intro to marketing, social media and web analytics. I've actually already taken a few of these classes. A lot of the classes have either dealt with analyzing commercials and marketing strategies, how to determine your target audience for a given brand. Some of my classes do work really heavy in the Adobe software, and we do a lot of designing and Adobe projects. A huge part of the advertising major at SJSU is actually internships, because San Jose State actually has its own student-run agency. That is an option for an internship that you can do, or you can seek one out yourself. But internships are a huge part. If you are still in high school and you're considering advertising for a major but you're not sure where you want to go yet, I would definitely consider SJSU for this reason. They are super hands-on with this major, and not that I have experience at other colleges, but I can't really imagine that other people really go into it like SJSU does. And there's actually not a lot of schools that even have advertising as a major, so I would definitely consider it. Lastly, I just want to get into some general tips for you guys. My first tip is to not stress so much about what major you're going to pick fresh out of high school, because you're likely to change it. When I first met with a major advisor about switching my major, she told me that the average college student changes their major at least 3 times before graduation. Definitely don't be intimidated by people knowing what they're gonna do, because a lot of people are gonna switch their majors. And I know there are cases where people know exactly what they're gonna do and they're gonna stick with that, but that's not everybody's path, so I wouldn't stress about it that much. My second tip is to really explore everything that your college has to offer. Take some time to explore your interests and take classes that actually sound interesting. I know that we all have to take general ed classes and those aren't always the most fun, but colleges offer so many actually interesting classes. Just take some time and explore things that really are interesting to you. My third tip is for those who don't know what they're gonna major in at all. Like, you have no idea. You're me, sophomore year of high school. If that's who you are, then I recommend doing what I did and making a list of all the things that you're passionate about. Literally all of them. Like, it could be sports, it could be food, it could be TV, like whatever it is. Write it down and then browse all of the majors in your school or the schools that you're considering and see what they have that is remotely related to that, because chances are they're gonna actually be really interesting. My last tip is don't waste your time or your money. College is hard and expensive, and we're not just here for the experience. You're here to study and you're here to get a degree, so make sure that it's actually something that you want to spend your time doing. And I can't stress this enough, make sure it's something you're passionate about. So that is my experience with picking a major, my experience as an advertising major, and so much more. I hope this video was helpful and I hope that you enjoyed. Make sure that you like if you did find it helpful and subscribe so that you don't miss the next one.